And you always hear players talk about the differences between the postseason and the regular season. No matter how good of a regular season player you may be, it's just different than performing in the postseason. The atmosphere is different. Can you talk to us about being on the Panthers during that 2003 playoff run and what it felt like to really be in that Super Bowl? Not just the play itself, but kind of the aura and the lure of playing in a game that big.
Yeah, that was a magical year. 10 years in the NFL, clearly my favorite year, my best run in the NFL, making it all the way to Houston to a Super Bowl. Yeah. But when I think I look back at it, we did not, to a man, realize what we were doing. We had no clue. That 2002 team with John Fox was a bunch of cast-offs, a bunch of pieces he was able to pull together, veteran guys that were on their second and third teams like myself. Yeah. Before I got to the Panthers, I was an assistant principal of a high school. Then I got picked up on a futures contract to the Miami Dolphins and got traded away to the Carolina Panthers 2 weeks before training camp started. Wow. Drove from South Florida to Spartanburg, South Carolina. A year later, I'm in Houston playing against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. So it was a crazy turn of events. Brinson Buckner had played for San Francisco and the Pittsburgh Steelers. We had a 20-year-old Julius Peppers who was a rising superstar. We had a budding Hall of Fame wide receiver in Steve Smith. He wasn't Steve Smith until after that year. Yeah. But we put it all together, and we went and played a game, the opening game, and Jake Delhomme comes in out of nowhere, 17 points down. Like, all right, that was fun, but can we sustain that? Probably not. We're going to face the defending Super Bowl champions in our division, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, beat them in overtime, block 2 or 3 kicks. Wow. It's like, wait a minute. I don't think we realized how good we were until we went to face Peyton Manning and that team, Tony Dungy in Indianapolis. They were 5-0. We were 6-0. And we beat them in their field, and we're like, hey, we can play with anybody. Because at the time, Dwight Freeney and Marvin Harrison, those guys considered the gold standard, at least in the AFC. And even still, when we got to the Dallas game, the keep pounding speech before that game, Sam Mills' way of telling us, hey, you guys have been amazing all season. Just keep pounding. It's going to get ugly. It's going to be a fight. You're going to be in a dark alley. Just keep fighting, man. It's not going to be easy. And then a few weeks later, we're in St. Louis, ex-Clown, double overtime, Steve Smith. Now we're in the NFC Championship. Yeah. So to wrap that all up, NFC Championship, we never lost any sleep. We lost to the Eagles maybe 4 weeks prior, and we thought we were the better team. So when we went to Philly, we felt like we had a great chance of putting pressure on Donovan McNabb and those guys and winning that game. And now we're in Houston against the Patriots and Tom Brady. So an amazing run, an unbelievable feeling. But my point is we never knew that we weren't supposed to be there. So I think when you play with that kind of exuberance and that kind of blind focus, you just go out there and do what you've been taught to do, and you play. You never let it get too big. There was never too much pressure, so we always felt like we were playing with house money.
How was the nightlife in Houston for the 2 years?
Crazy. That's another podcast. It is not this podcast.
Not for today.
But it's what you think it is, man. You get there, you do all the work and the tickets and the family, you get everybody set up this week, before the Super Bowl. Then when you get to Houston, we didn't have a curfew. Maybe we landed on a Sunday. Wednesday was our first night with the curfew. So for me, growing up and listening to some of the Houston area rappers, Scarface and all those guys, man, Bushwick, like being in the same party in the same room with some of those guys and doing that a lot of the time with Teddy Bruschi and a lot of the guys from the Patriots because it's all one big happy party at that time. So the events were great. A young Beyonce, Janet Jackson, and Justin Timberlake. They're known for something else in that Super Bowl. But still, meeting some of your idols and being in the same place, for me, a kid from a small beach town in Florida, Delray Beach, Florida, it was incredible. It's everything that I thought it was going to be. And running down on that opening kickoff and watching the bulbs go off, man, I'm surprised I didn't get knocked out because it felt like a dream, man. It felt like an absolute dream to work that hard from 9 years old to be in that place.